everyone. I'm here with Michael Poetry on Plastic, Jim from Record Collector News. I'm gonna flip the camera around. I guess I can't do that when I'm recording, so. Hi, the waxed here. So, we just came back from an adventure where we were on pins and needles, and we went to the Record Collector here in Los Angeles, specifically on Melrose, across the street from Fairfax High School. Famous high school where I guess Flea and Anthony from the Chili Peppers went there, but I'm sure tons of other people were there. So here's the story. We were prepared to go to the Record Collector because he is famous for, Jim.
Well, he likes to throw people out of his store. I mean, you know, when you walk in, he says, "What are you looking for?" If you don't know, he says, "Come back when you have a list."
Well, in fact, today...
That happened once, yeah.
It happened more than once today. But we've heard stories, and some of them are documented in Yelp and other type of social media
the
reviews.
Reviews are hilarious.
Yes. We suggest you go there to read. Some are alarming, and some stories Jim knows of.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
That, let's just say, he'll have an impression of you when you enter the store.
Yes.
And maybe there are some stories that Jim said where he would charge people to enter and deduct that from what they purchased, based on what type of person they were.
Yep.
So we went in there expecting the unexpected. We could have been kicked out. When we went in there, there was at least 4 other people in there buying records. So he was busy. So he kind of didn't, he sort of greeted us, but paid us no mind. So I think that gave us an opening to go in there and just quietly search for records. Jim and I went towards the jazz section, and Michael, you went...
That was probably the most impressive collection of UK classical records I've ever encountered in a record store, ever.
So, can you be more specific?
So he had pretty much every single 70s EMI, UK EMI that I've ever made. So basically all the Andre Previn recordings, all the stuff on EMI in the 70s he had. He had some of the 50s, 60s stuff. I was kind of trying to find mostly that. I was looking at, he had a few Columbia SAX records that are very rare, very hard to find. A few white and gold label, his master's voice from the late 50s, early 60s, a couple of those that I was looking at. He had pretty much a full run of London bluebacks, which was very impressive. The EMI stuff was kind of hard to flip through because it wasn't really organized at all. So that took a long time. The Decca London bluebacks were in order, so that was really easy. The prices, no price was marked. That was the truth throughout the store. No price was marked.
And we knew this because he goes off the top of his head, which, Jim, you believe his knowledge base is not Discogs, it is...
Right.
The what's that record guide that they used to use to...
Oh, yeah.
The
Well,
gold...
there's a few of those that used to exist.
The gold something?
The Gold Mine Thompson record price guide. Basically, he looks at you and he figures out how much money you have, and he charges accordingly. If you've got really nice shoes, the record will be 70 instead of 60. If you've got, you know...
I wore Chucks. By the way, I'm worried if this music might affect the video, but we'll talk loud and I'll see what I can do. So here's and would you guys say generally the records are VG Plus or better? The vinyl.
The vinyl.
The covers are probably VG to VG Plus at best.
I can show what I got.
Yeah. So Michael will show what he got first, and let's just say, Michael, you'll go over what you were charged and what you believe the value of the record is.
Yeah. So everything was. I mean, when I brought a few records up to the front because he makes you bring the records up to the front. He gives you a bunch of prices, and of course, you know, for him that's his bulk price. And so he'll list off a bunch of prices, and you say, okay, well, I only want these. He says, okay, well, those prices I told you were the discount price, so let me give you the full prices on these. So it really puts you in a position where you can't really figure out what you can buy and can't buy.
I will say this too, the word we got is when you don't want records, he could kick you out of the store.
Yeah.
But I think he remembered Jim, and I think I'm a weird guy. Generally, everyone hates me on the internet, but when you meet me in person, I think the guy do you believe he kind of liked me?
Yes. He liked oh, Harold Land. Oh, Henry, go get the ladder. Let's get some Harold Land.
Yeah. So I think we had him in a good mood. He could have easily kicked us out for not buying everything we brought up. All right, sorry, Mike.
He seemed a little annoyed that I didn't know who the principal of the LA Phil was in the 1930s.
Well, I'm annoyed at you for that reason.
Yes.
You want to show your records?
Yeah, I could only afford. I mean, he had a lot of nice stuff. I could only afford to buy 2 records, and they're both records that I was kind of looking for. This is if anyone knows UK Columbia, it's a completely different company than US Columbia. This is basically EMI. It was a sub-label of EMI in the late 50s and early 60s. They did a couple records with George Zell and the Columbia Symphony, and they're very, very rare, very, very collectible.
Well, that says Epic on there. So
in the US, it was recorded by the Epic team, but it was cut in the UK by Columbia. And the Epics are cheap. You can buy the Epic of this for $10, but the UK Columbias are worth a couple $100. And especially in this is what's called the silver label Columbia. These are very rare, very collectible, very hard to find. You almost never see them in the United States. So this was kind of a I'm never gonna find this in a US record store. And actually, what I paid is a little under. Now the jacket's messed up, but it's a little under. It's a little under what. It's something
how much do you charge you for that?
$100, and it goes for about. I think the cheapest I can get it on Discogs right now is about $175. So the record, even though the jacket's beat up, the record's near mint. So I call this a victory. And then the less expensive record I got was an original. This is a Decca London blueback.
Can you show the back, the blue?
Yes, the blueback. It has the Beethoven Quintet in E flat major for piano and winds, and the Mozart Divertimento No. 1 for 2 clarinets, 2 horns, and strings. So this is a chamber music record with the members of the Vienna Octet. It's an original London wideband.
Turn it there. Thanks. So how much does that usually go for?
It goes for about, if I wanted to get this near mint online, it goes for about $50, and that's what I paid.
All right.
So I didn't underpay. I paid about what it's worth.
All right.
Yeah. So and these bluebacks, it just depends on what's what in terms of pricing. Usually the chamber music records, they sold less of them, so the chamber music records are a little more rare. The orchestral records sold a lot more, and so some of those you can get for much less, under $10.
Yeah.
It just depends.
And now, what would you say? How would you rate the store comparatively to other stores you've been in, as far as selection?
I mean, as far as selection goes, it has the best classical selection I've ever seen in a record store in the United States.
That's big, especially from a classical collector.
Yes.
Now, Jim, you just said a minute ago about
the store, the building itself. What we saw was maybe less than 20% of what he's got on site. The building goes on and on forever. He has shelves built floor to ceiling. He had a guy in there for 25 years building shelves.
Well, he has an assistant in there who easily
Henry.
looks like he's in his late 70s.
Yeah, Henry.
And here's what was funny about what he did. The dude, I asked him for if you have any Harold Land records. He goes, Henry, Harold Land. Henry, who looks like soaking wet, he's 100 pounds. He would get the ladder and climb up to the shelves that reached the top of the ceiling to look for a Harold Land record for me, and I was under him, worried that he was going to fall off this ladder. But to his credit, he found a Harold Land record, which I'll show you that I found. So do you want to show what you found?
Yeah. So I picked up this Shelly Manne record, 234. I have a reissue of it. It's just a great record. I love the sound of it. This is a mono version, so I'm going to take it home, put a mono cartridge on, and go to town with this.
Jealous.
Yeah. It's Coleman Hawkins. The 2 is just Coleman Hawkins and Shelly Manne. The 3 is Eddie Costa, George Duvivier, and Shelly Manne. And the 4 is Coleman Hawkins, Hank Jones, George Duvivier, and Shelly Manne.
So your next record?
My next record that I got from the record collector was Maggie's Back in Town. This is Howard McGee with Shelly Manne. It's
Well, who else is on there?
Phineas Newborn Jr. and Leroy Vinegar.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that is an OG stereo.
That's a great cover.
Yeah, with the
Look at this.
kind of green label.
Really cool.
I looked that up.
Good
So,
shape.
what did you get that for?
I think he charged me $50 for that.
I thought 45.
Maybe it was 45.
But that's I think you could get more. That goes for more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a record I've never seen. I was curious to see what he charged me for it. I felt it was fair enough, so I bought it.
And like I said, the vinyl is like near mint, but the cover is...
Cover's a mess. Vinyl's near mint. I don't have a problem with that at all. The other 2 are Paul Bly records.
Yeah.
Kind of like a new favorite piano player of mine. I like his avant-garde stuff. But this is probably a little more avant-garde. This one is a live record that he did with Jasper Lundgaard.
Yeah, that's
on
Steeplechase.
And this one's sealed, so he charged me $30 for this, $25 for this.
Yeah, and that's an ECM.
That's an ECM.
I'm gonna guess because I've had that Live Again record open. Those are probably a little more than those go for. All right, so I'm gonna show you what I got. I thought his selection of records was above average for a record store. He had killer jazz. I easily could have bought 10 to 20 records, but knowing that I was overhearing him dealing with other customers and giving them the pricing, and I go, shit, he's gonna charge me 50 bucks a record, and that's what he did. So I think the 3 others I put back was a mint Gil Evans record that I've wanted, I forget what it was, the Experimentation or something. I put back Sam Rivers Blue Note Twofer, which I have already, and I actually grabbed another record, so I'll show you what I got. So although this came out as a classic record, this is OG Bobby Hutcherson and Harold Land San Francisco Blue Note, Van Gelder and the Dead Wax, but this is a misprint. So the song, this is wrong. This is not the run of the songs. It differs from what's on the label. And in fact, I read something that these liner notes are written to this song list, not to the actual. This was the original version of the album that came out before they corrected it. So hold on. There. Deep Groove, Liberty, but OG. I can't wait to listen to this and compare it to the classic one, but this is the misprint. So this goes for anywhere from, this is mint, the record's mint, the cover is VG Plus. There's some edgeware. This goes from anywhere from 35 to 85. So I got it for 50. I feel like I got a good deal. So the next I got was this Passing Through Chico Hamilton. It's a mono, and not only is it in mint, the cover is VG++, the record's mint, and it's a white label promo. And I love these Impulse white label promos. They're gorgeous looking, and it's Van Gelder and the Dead Wax. This, I think, the white label promo, this was 50, might go for 45 to 55, but I'm happy. Again, any Chico Hamilton on Impulse is a must buy. If you see one, grab it. Okay, so when I said that his assistant deal, the 70, he looked like he was 100, but he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy, right? He got up on the ladder. He was tiptoe on the very top. I was afraid this dude was gonna fall. And I asked for a Harold Land. He went on the top shelf, grabbed this OG stereo Harold Land. In fact, this is weird. The back cover is upside down.
Wow.
So I have to look into that and see what that is. But this is Joe Gordon, Wes Montgomery, Sam Jones, Lewis Hayes, Barry Harris. And it's on the Jazzland red. So I think this is probably a first press stereo on the red. The orange is the mono, and I know there's a different color too. So the record's VG++, near mint, and the cover's VG. I'm way worse. It's the seam split on top. So this was 50 bucks. This probably goes for 30 to 60. So again, I still feel I was fair on everyone. Then, this is an 80s pressing of The Awakening, Amal Jamal. I know the Verve by Request came out and people are iffy on it. Might not be the best mastering. I haven't heard much about this, but since the OG of this is so hard to get, this is digital, this thing goes for a lot of money. He charged me 50, it goes for more than 50. 55 on up. But the cool thing about these, it's like 1986 pressings, is generally I always find them as promos. That's this. And they're on that early version of the QX vinyl, which is like the Japanese silent. And then they say it has liner notes, but it's sometimes there's an insert or it's on this inner sleeve. But if you can see, I don't know if we hold it up to light, you can see through it, can you?
Not really. Oh yeah, sort of. Oh yeah.
It's like an amber. So I'm hoping this sounds really good. So this is, I'm happy with what I got. I feel like I underpaid for each one. But I was prepared for what he charged me, you know? So I will say that if you go there, there's a lot of crap, but go there and when he greets you at the door, be specific and say, I'm looking for this. And I think he won't rip your head off and shit down your neck. Yeah. Look, we did go in there prepared for anything, but it was sort of like...
Yeah, we were ready.
Like that episode of Seinfeld where it's the soup guy. That's how people refer to this record store guy. So, like, the kind of attitude I went in there was, bring up the records, pay what he tells you they're worth.
Yeah, if I was gonna go in there blind, I would have had a really bad time.
Right. So, for me, also, I was prepared. The cool thing is I brought up 6 records, and then I pulled 3 of them away, and he didn't give me shit for it. All indications were he could have easily said to me, get the hell out of my store. Yeah. But he didn't. I think because
he was
in a good mood and I was behaving properly.
The last time I saw Sandy or communicated with Sandy was 5 years ago. It didn't end well. I basically threw him out of Record Collector News. We haven't talked at all since then. So I didn't know how it was going to go when I walked in the store. And I'm glad it went well because regardless of what type of a human being or how he runs his business, the guy's got the records. He's got a lot of records. They're right there. There's more in the back. If you get on his good side, I have a feeling he'll take care of you.
Right, and I'll tell you this, that he had good shit in there, and not only did he have the bins had good stuff in there, but on the shelves, which I was told, do not try and take anything off the shelves. He had his assistant dude do it. Yeah. All you have to do is ask him and they'll search for it. So there is easily inside the main store 4 times more the amount of records on the shelves. When I asked for the Harold Land record, that was pulled from a top shelf I couldn't even access. Yeah. So guys, in conclusion, will you go back, Michael?
It'll be a while, but I'll go back.
Yes. He had records there. He had records there that were sealed, but I know my education thus far is that I could have got them cheaper. I know I would have overpaid for about 3 other records I had in my hand, So you got to go in there knowing stuff.
I'm gonna
Or just
if
want the records and not have it rights be that big
Yeah.
of a deal.
when I go back, I'm gonna pull out 1 to 2 records because you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah. I'd say once or twice a year visit is good.